This training video will demonstrate the proper technique for using micropipettes. There are many different manufacturers of pipettes and many different models to choose from, but they all operate under the same principle, which is piston-driven air displacement. Within the body of the micropipette is a piston within a sealed sleeve. When you press down on the plunger, air is forced out the bottom of the tip. When you then put that into a liquid and release the plunger upwards, it creates a vacuum that draws the liquid up into the tip. You can then take that and put that into a test tube or another beaker if you want. Let's take a closer look. As I mentioned, there's a range of different pipette sizes that you can use in the lab. And the caps are color-coded to match the tips that go on the bottom. So P1000 is blue on the top to match the blue tips. The 200, the 100, and the 20 all have yellow caps to match the yellow tip on the bottom. The P10 has a white top and matches the white tips. This is a Gilson series of pipettes, and this is a Biohit series of pipettes that you'll be using in the lab, but the same color code applies. So the main parts of any Biohit micropipetter are the operating button on the top, the tip ejector, the display for the volume that you've set, the lock button, the tip cone where your tip goes on, and within the tip cone is an aerosol barrier filter, which prevents obviously aerosols or other liquids getting into the body of the pipetter. The way it functions is to change the volume here, you have to press in the lock button. And then you just turn the operating button on the top to whatever volume you want. When you have your set volume, if it's 510, you release the lock and it will stay locked in that position. If you don't press in the lock button, you'll be grinding against the lock, and that's a very bad thing. So make sure you press in the lock button to change the volume. The plunger within the body of the pipette has two positions. I'm going to hold it in my hand like this, wrap my fingers around, put my thumb on the cap. I'm going to press down till I feel the first resistance. That is the volume that I've set on the micropipette. When I press down to the second position, that is a little bit of extra air that helps dispense the volume out of the pipette. So first position, second position. If I want to dispense 400 microliters of this blue liquid into this beaker, the first thing I need to do is set my pipette to 400 microliters by pressing in the lock button, changing the volume to 400 microliters, releasing the lock. Now I'm going to get a tip by opening my tip box, pressing down gently but firmly till I have a tip and closing the lid again. I'll hold it in my hand, wrap around. I'm going to press down to the first position, and that represents 400 microliters. I'm going to go into the beaker with the blue liquid. I'm going to slowly release the plunger so that the vacuum inside draws up that liquid. I'm going to go to the second beaker where I want to place it. I'm going to go press down to the second position. I'm going to draw it out and then release it. So again, the format is press down to the first position, go under your liquid, draw it up, out and over to where you want it to go, and then press down to get rid of it, and then out. And when you're done, this is the tip dispense button. Eject into your waste container. There's a few common errors that can happen with the micropipette that you should try to avoid. One of them is putting your tip underneath the surface and then pressing down on the plunger. And that just creates bubbles within the liquid and may cause inaccuracy when you're drawing up your liquid. Another error is to draw up your liquid and turn your pipette sideways or even upside down. Your pipette should always be vertical when you're going between beakers or test tubes. Another error is when you're dispensing the liquid and you press it down and then release your thumb before you take it out of the liquid and you end up drawing up some of the reagent or the chemical that was in that second beaker, and you don't want to do that as well. You should avoid putting your micropipette down on the bench top while there's still a tip on the end, because it has a chemical on it and people may run into it or it may drip onto your work area. You should always get rid of your tip as soon as you're done with it. Another common error occurs when you press down to the second stop when you want to draw up your liquid. As I mentioned, the first stop in this case is 50 microliters. If I draw up 50 microliters, I've put a mark on the tip so that you can see approximately what the volume is there. If I press down to the second stop and then draw up my volume, you can see the error that I've created. I've actually drawn up more than what I've set in the pipette. This causes another error in that it's more than what you need, and also when you go to dispense it, it's harder to get it out because you don't have that extra bit of volume to help get all of the liquid out of your tip. So those are just a few of the errors that you should try to avoid. I hope this video helped demonstrate the proper technique for using micropipettes. When you get to the lab, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask for help. And remember, every experiment is an opportunity to learn and develop skills, no matter the outcome.